The story of Elwynn Forest has been told many times. But how many times has it truly been experienced? You may have forgotten it, but this forest is truly special. Every little house and every little creek has its own purpose, even if that purpose is to just be. Elwynn Forest also houses Stormwind, the home of the humans and capital of the Alliance. But this video is not about Stormwind, it's about the forest that surrounds it. So, where do we start? Well, what about the beginning? Northshire Valley is meant to be a sanctuary, a quiet corner of Elwynn Forest where new recruits train under the banners of Stormwind. From a distance, the abbey looks untouched by war, but that piece is already beginning to fracture. Marshal McBride is the first to make the danger clear. The local wolves have grown bold, roaming too close to the abbey and attacking those on the roads. Securing the area requires thinning the pack before the threat can grow any further. But the wild animals are only the beginning. Blackrock spies have been spotted in the hills using spyglasses to study the valley's defenses from above. McBride directs the effort to eliminate these scouts, ensuring that any information they gathered never leaves the ridges. At the rear of the abbey, Sergeant Willem faces a more cunning threat. Goblin assassins have infiltrated the valley, hiding in the shadows to strike without warning. They must be hunted down and cleared out of the brush before they can reach the abbey walls. The situation soon escalates, from small skirmishes to a full-scale invasion. Blackrock orcs are moving into the valley in force, and evidence of their arrival is scattered across the fields. To weaken their momentum, recruits are sent to collect the heavy axes, stripping the enemy of their steel while gorging the true size of the attacking army. As the fighting spreads, the nearby vineyards fall under attack. Miliarsworth's farm is being torched, and thick smoke begins to fill the air. It becomes a race to douse the flames with water while pushing back the orcs who brought the fire. To the harvest, the chaos eventually leads to one final objective. The invasion is led by a Blackrock commander, and as long as he remains at the heart of the camp, Northshire will never be safe. A decisive strike is needed to eliminate the leader and break the spirit of the invasion once and for all. With the commander fallen, the remaining invaders retreat and the valley finally stabilizes. But the victory is only a brief reprieve. The call for help now comes from Goldshire, where the rest of Elwynn Forest is starting to face a darkness of its own. Goldshire stands at the center of Elwynn Forest, a crossroads town where farmers, guards and travelers gather beneath the roof of the Lion's Pride Inn. It lacks the fortified discipline of Northshire, but its stability is just as important. If Goldshire falters, the rest of Elwynn follows. Marshal Duggan wastes no time outlining the situation. The nearby Faggodeep mine has been overrun by kobolds, cutting into the town's supply. He orders a mission to determine how deeply the infestation runs. At the same time, William Pristol has a more practical concern. The kobolds have been hoarding large candles inside the tunnels, and he needs them returned. Remy 2 times offers payment for another resource taken from the mine, fine gold dust gathered by the creatures in the dark. The solution to all 3 problems lies in the same place. Inside the Faggodeep mine, the scale of the intrusion becomes clear. Kobolds occupy the tunnels in numbers, defending their stolen territory. Candles are taken from their packs. Gold dust is recovered from their corpses. The mine is scouted thoroughly enough to confirm that this is no passing situation. When the recruit returns to Goldshire, the town regains what was taken, but the problem does not appear isolated. Duggan sends words to investigate a second location, the Jasperlode mine. If Fagerdeep was compromised, Jasperlode must be checked before the situation spreads further. The road east passes Crystal Lake, where a small island holds a quiet memorial. A simple stone bearing the words, "Deeply missed, never forgotten." It stands apart from the patrol routes and mining concerns, a silent reminder that Elwynn carries its own history, alongside its present troubles. Ibelin, never forgotten. Beyond the lake, the Jasperlode mine mirrors the first. Kobolds have settled into the tunnels, pressing further into Elwynn's infrastructure. The mine is scouted, the threat confirmed, and the report delivered back to Goldshire. Yet not all matters in Elwynn are settled with steel. At the McClure vineyards, Mabel McClure has a different request. She asks for a letter to be delivered to Tommy Joe Stonefield. The two families have been long divided, and neither side is willing to cross the road first. The message reaches Tommy Joe, but resolution requires more than quiet affection. He sends word to Grandma Stonefield, whose approval carries weight within the household. Grandma listens carefully and drafts a note of her own, one addressed to William Pressel in Goldshire. In Goldshire, William reads the note and understands the situation immediately. If the two young lovers are to meet without reigniting the family feud, they will need help. He agrees to brew an invisibility potion, allowing them to see one another. But first, he requires fresh kelp from the Crystal Lake as a key ingredient. Kelp is gathered from the lake and the murlocs inhabiting it. With the ingredients secured, William prepares the potion. The conflict is not ended with confrontation or force. Instead, it's eased through discretion and a carefully mixed draught. In Elwynn Forest, even matters of the heart requires effort. And like the mines and the roads, relationships too must be maintained if the forest is to remain whole. At Stonefield's farm, Ma Stonefield, a relative of Tommy's, speaks bluntly of a more immediate problem. A massive boar known as Princess has been ravaging her crops, tearing through the fields and threatening the harvest. The beast must be hunted down and slain before further damage is done. With Princess defeated, another matter surfaces within the same household. Andy Burnish Stonefield has misplaced a treasured necklace and believes young Billy McClure may know something about it. The task seems simple: find Billy and retrieve what was lost. Billy hesitates. He admits knowledge of the necklace, but only after asking for a favor of his own. He wants fresh boar meat so Andy can bake him a pie. The errand loops back to the Stonefields. The pie is prepared and Billy finally reveals the truth. The necklace was taken by a kobold named Goldtooth near Fagerdeep mine. Goldtooth lurks among the kobolds outside the tunnels, clutching the stolen necklace. He is defeated, the necklace reclaimed, and then returned to Andy Burnish. Further east, the forest grows less forgiving. Marshal Duggan directs attention towards the Eastvale Road, where Guard Thomas stands watch at the bridge. The frontier must be secured before greater dangers takes hold. Thomas begins with the most immediate threats: prowlers, forest wolves, and young bears pushing too close to the path. The wildlife must be culled to keep the road safe for travelers and patrols. But predators in the brush are only the beginning. Two guards have gone missing along the river after investigating disturbances near Stonecarn Lake. Thomas orders a search of the shoreline to determine what became of them. The search yields grim answers. One guard lies dead where he fell. Further along the water, Rolf is found as well, confirming that the threat near the lake is more severe than expected. The findings are reported back to Thomas, and the mood at the bridge shifts from caution to concern. A bounty board stands nearby, listing the dangers pressing against the frontier. Murlocs have gathered in growing numbers along the lake, harassing patrols and travelers alike. They are also responsible for the 2 murders of the guards. Their fins are taken as proof of the hunt, reducing their presence and easing the pressure on the shoreline. Another notice bears the name James Clark, a bandit operating in the same region, taking advantage of the instability to prey on weakened routes. He is tracked down and eliminated before his activities can spread further. Yet the unrest near the eastern waters does not end with James Clark. Documents recovered in the region point to a larger Defiance operation tied directly to the mines. Gold meant to move through Elwynn has been diverted, collected before it ever reaches its intended destination. The figure behind the scheme is known as the Collector. At a farmhouse near Brackwell Pumpkin Patch, Defiance operatives got both stolen shipments and their overseer. Inside, Morgan the Collector manages the transfer of gold taken from the mines, ensuring it flows into the hands of the Brotherhood instead of Stormwind. The house is breached and cleared, Defiance guards are driven out, and Morgan is confronted within his own stronghold. Beyond Eastvale, the road leads to the logging camp where Elwynn supplies Stormwind with timber. At Eastvale Logging Camp, Supervisor Raylan manages the steady cutting of wood needed for the kingdom. Recently, several bundles have been left behind in the forest after workers were driven off by nearby threats. The missing lumber must be recovered so operations can continue without delay. The search moves into the surrounding woods, where the abandoned bundles are gathered and returned to the camp. With the timber secured, the flow of supplies resumes. Nearby, Sarah Timberlane faces a different shortage. The camp requires red linen goods, but the necessary cloth is in the hands of the Defiance thieves scattered across the eastern forest. The red bandanas provide the material she needs. To replenish the camp's stock, those bandanas must be taken from them. The effort pushes toward the eastern shoreline, with Defiance rope mages linger near the water and on the small island beyond. Their presence is reduced and the red linen is collected. With the cloth secured, the camp's needs are met. While Eastvale stabilizes, the western frontier faces renewed danger. Westbrook Garrison guards the road between settlements, but the Riverport gnolls have grown more aggressive. Deputy Rayner calls for their numbers to be cut back before they gain further ground. Riverport gnolls are confronted in their camps, and their painted armbands are taken as proof of their defeat. Each engagement weakens their hold on the region. Then, a final notice names the one responsible for their growing confidence. A wanted poster calls for the death of Hogger, the leader of the Riverpaw. As long as he commands the gnolls, the western roads will remain unsafe. The hunt leads into their encampment. Hogger stands at its edge, larger and more brutal than the rest, directing the Riverpaw from within. The confrontation is fierce, but it does not end in his death. When Hogger is finally brought down, Stormwind soldiers move in to secure him. He is taken into custody and escorted away to face imprisonment in the stockade beneath Stormwind. With their leader captured, the Riverpaw lose their cohesion. Without Hogger to command them, their presence weakens and the camps begin to thin. From the logging camp in the east to the garrison in the west, Elwynn's stability is restored step by step. The timber flows again and the roads reopen. The settlements hold. For now, the forest remains under control.